So we start writing the program using class. So class is one of the keywords that is used to write a program. So ours will be first program. I will call the program as say hello. You can name it whatever you want it to be. And class is opened and closed using curly braces. So like for example, in C or C++, you used to start with hash include stdio.h. Then you used to write void main, something like that. And then the entire program inside this, like printf hello world. This was your program in C or C++. C, I guess, because it is printf. In C++, it is C out. So similarly, we are going to write the same program, but in Java. So as I've already mentioned, Java is a full object-oriented programming language. So everything is Java is a class. You start with a class only. The first thing is I have written class, which is the keyword, and then name of the class. My name of the class is say hello. You can write any name you want. But again, before starting this, let me tell you, there are some standards that we follow in Java. That is not a compulsion, but it is good to follow those standards. So the standard says like, first is class name should always start with a capital letter. So I could have written small s also, but I have written capital S because whenever you write a class name, that should start with a capital letter, and this is just a standard. If you write small s, it will not give you an error, but we should follow all the standards that are there. So your class name should always start with a capital letter. And in my class name, I am using say hello. So as we all know in English, say and hello are different words. So when you start a different word, like hello is a different word. So for that also, I'll start it using a capital letter. So this is just the standard. If you write the entire thing in small also, it won't give you an error. But just to make sure you write everything in a professional manner, I'm just letting you know what are the standards. Second is method name, or in C or C++, you call it function. Method is simply a function. So method name should start with a small letter. And these are just the standards that we follow. If you want to write professionally, you should follow these standards. But if you don't want to follow it, that is completely your choice, and the Java will not give you an error. I'm just letting you know how to write a code professionally. So I'm just deleting this. I'll focus on what our program is all about. So when you write class hello, class say hello, that means there is a class named say hello which you have created. Inside this, you have to write a main method. In C or C++, it was very simple, void main or int main. But here for main method, you have to write public static void main, string args and this colon. I know as of now, this public state or this main statement will be very heavy for you if you are looking at it for the very first time. But most of you are from second or third year, so you know that this is the main method. But for others, I'll explain what this public is, what static, what void, what is main, and what is the string args. I'll explain everything, but just to let you know, this is the main method. And from Java, we'll start calling everything a method because this is not a function. In Java, we call it a method only. If you are unable to see this, I'll increase the font size. So class say hello. Inside the class, we are creating a method. We cannot directly create it outside the class. It will give you an error because this is not a functional programming language. This is an object-oriented programming language. Everything comes inside a class. So this is the class name. To print it, in C, you write printf. In C++, you write cout. But in Java, you have to write this system.out.println. And in println, we write hello world. And then every statement in Java is completed using a semicolon. That goes the same with C or C++ also. Because you have to write semicolon here. So this is your very first basic program in Java, which will print hello world. I'll wait for a minute. If you have not already written this, please write it down. Have you all done writing this code?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I will save this code. If you have not written this, don't worry, I will be sharing this code. Plus, please try to write it during the tutorial itself. I will save this code now. And one more thing, and that is a compulsion, because previously whatever I mentioned that class name should start with a capital letter, method name should start with a small letter. As you can see that main is a method name. This is starting with a small m only. So these all are, and if you create your own method, then that name also should start with a small letter. These are not compulsions, these are just the standards that we follow. But one compulsion here is whatever is your class name, when you save this file, you should have that same class name as it is .java. So when you save this, I'll save it. I'll create a new folder here. You can create it anywhere in your directory, whatever you want to. I'll call it first notepad in Java, for example. So inside this, I will go and then I have to save it using the same class name that I was using. And my class name is say hello. So I will write as it is, say hello. And in save as type, you just change it to all files. Because here you have to do say hello.java. As this is a Java program, you have to use the same class name that you have written in the class, in that particular notepad file. Say hello.java. Simple. And this is a compulsion. So now before compiling or running this code, I'll talk about the structure. I'll explain you what this code is all about. I mean, what are the different structure of this code? First part is I have already mentioned that in Java, you can do commenting, which was not there in C++. While I was talking about the differences between C++ and Java, I mentioned that you can write comments in Java. So in Java, if you want to write one line comment, so for example, if you want to write a one line comment, you can use this to forward slash, and you can just write this is, or whatever you want to write, our first Java program. This is a comment. When a compiler compiles this program and it sees this block, that means that compiler will understand this is a comment and it has nothing to do with this comment. So it will not do anything with this comment. It will just consider it as a common comment. No syntax will be checked here because there is no syntax for comments. So this is a one line comment. If you want to write multi-line comment and you don't want to use this every time in every line, so what you use is you use slash and star and slash, and whatever you want to write here, you can write here. So these will be considered as comments only, but these are multi-line comments. Now, what I wanted to say is by commenting, I'll comment every single part of this code, like what is class, what is public, what is static, what is void, what is main, what is this string args, what is this system.out.println. I will mention everything about these things by using comments only. If you want, you can also write it down. The first class. This is a keyword which is used to declare a class. You are declaring a class there in Java. Second is public. I am talking about every small components that we have written in this class. So please make sure if you have any doubt, please stop me in between and ask me. So this is access modifier. There are different kinds of access modifiers like public, private, protected, then default. So these are access specifiers, access modifiers. What that means is, what is the access right that is given to it? From where you can access this file? So when you mention public, public means it is available to everybody. When you write private, that means it is available to only that class. When you write protected, that means that method is available to subclass of that class. And about protected, we will talk about in detail when we talk about inheritance. So don't worry about protected and private now. Just make sure if it is public, this will be available to everyone. That means we can run this program from anywhere. Then there is a static also. So this is again a keyword. And when you write static, this means that this method is static. And the advantage is we don't need to create any object. When I talk about classes and objects, I'll let you know what is the advantage of using this static. You cannot use object to call this static method. As of now, just remember this. When we are using static, we cannot create object of that particular thing. We cannot use object to call that particular method or a variable. But I will talk about it in detail when we talk about class and objects. Then comes void. Simply as you write void in void main in C or C++, similarly, we are writing void main here. But void means this will return nothing. So for example, if your method name is public int add two numbers, if you write int add two numbers, that means you have to return the answer of that particular. You have to return something, and what you have to return? Int, because that is a return type. So void here is a return type, and void means return nothing. Then main simply means the starting point of program. Then this is one more thing which is very beautiful in Java, the string args. Args stands for arguments. That means these are command line arguments. After we have done writing this hello world program, we'll be moving into how to use this command line arguments. We'll see what these are. And whatever arguments you give via command line will be coming in the form of string arguments only. That's why this is string argument ka array. Again, one more thing. This is just the variable name. Even if I write my name here, that is completely fine. This does not have to be only args. Just the standard that everybody follows. So that is just the variable name. This will also work if I write Pratyush name here. And this will also work. So that is just the simple name. So I'll talk about what this command line arguments is in the next program after this say hello program. And finally, the system.out.println. This is basically used to print a statement in which. So can anybody tell me what this system is? So, okay, no worries. So system is basically a class. Why class? Because I've already mentioned if it is a class, it will always start with a capital letter. So this is what I was talking about, the standards that we follow in Java. So this is a class. This out is the object, and which is the object of print stream class, which will print everything that comes inside it. And println is a method or a function. How do we know this is a method or function? Because of this opening and closing round brackets. And this is the same as in C++ or C, because every time you declare a function, you write this opening or closing bracket. So this println is a method to print a particular statement. So that is why we write this. And ln stands for new line. That means if I am writing system.out.println hello world and I write my name, for example, when the output will be printed, so hello world will come in one line. And because we have written print ln means after writing hello world, it will go to new line and it will print Pratyush. If I'm only writing system.out.print, that is also fine. Program will run, but it will write hello world, and after that it will write Pratyush because there is no ln here. Ln stands for new line. So as of now, I'll just write one line, simple code, nothing else. But this is what the breakup of our complete program. What class is, what public static void main is, what is string args, what is system.out.println. Now, when you have completed saving it, you will see that say hello.java is saved on the location that you wanted it to save. You have your Java code here, which is say hello.java. And when you sent it through a compiler, as I've already mentioned in JDK, there was JRE plus development kits, wherein one was Java C. So when it goes through compiler, this entire thing gets converted into byte code. Wherein the file name will change to say hello.class. Is this thing clear? I'll talk about it when we run our code using Java C and Java. We'll see how this is converted into it. But just to let you know how the program works. So we have this class file say hello.class. So this is compile time. But after compile time, what happens during runtime? We will look into it. So what happens is we are having our class file, which will be say hello because this is the name of my class. This goes through a class loader. If you want to write this, you can please write it down. And when that goes through a class loader, this will be bytecode verified. Why? Because I've already mentioned when you go through a compiler, your Java file is converted into bytecodes. And those bytecodes are verified. When it goes through class loader, it is bytecode verified. After verifying the bytecodes, this goes through interpreter. As I've already mentioned, that Java is an interpreted language. So it goes through interpreter, line by line, everything will be checked. Then it goes to runtime and the program will be ran there. Or after runtime, it communicates with hardware also. So in C++, you directly link to hardware, but not in Java. You compile it, you convert into .class file. That .class file goes through a class loader. Because to load a class, you need a class loader. That is very simple. And in that class loader, that bytecode will be verified. Because you see that sometimes you get compile time exception, sometimes runtime error. Compile time error will be when there is problem with your syntax. So during compiler only will catch those errors. But there are sometimes runtime errors also. So one of the runtime error is if you divide anything by zero, you will get division by zero exception. Because practically speaking, you cannot divide anything by zero. So that comes during the runtime. So now this class file is loaded, the bytecodes are verified, then interpreter will interpret each and every single line, then it goes through the runtime. So when you come here, first part is to compile, as I've already shown you in the diagram. First part is to compile the file. So to compile the file, the code is, the command is Java C because you have to use the compiler to compile the file. Java C and the name of my file is say hello.java. Whatever is the name of your file, please write that name only. And after that, when you click enter, you will see that a class file will be created here if there are no errors. So when you click enter, you see that say hello.class is created. As I've already mentioned, during compile time, your Java file gets converted into the bytecode, the extension of which is .class. That is a class file. This is already written here. And now when you want to run this class file or run this particular code, you just write Java and then write the name of that file. No .class, nothing. Only the name of that file. So when you run this, this goes into class loader, bytecode verifier, then interpreter, then runtime, then hardware, everything. And then it will print whatever you have written inside that program. So when I click enter, so this is printing hello world because this is what I have printed system.out.println. The next is we'll see how to pass the arguments. As I've already mentioned, in string args, you can pass arguments or you can keep it empty. So how do we do that? We will write one more program of passing the arguments. So for that, I'll recommend you not to copy paste from the first program that you are doing. Write everything from scratch because that will create a habit of writing a program. So for the second program passing arguments, I will create a new file. I'll start again with class only. The name will be passing arguments. This is what I wanted to give. It depends on what you want to give the class name. My class name is passing arguments. So before writing the code, passing arguments basically means while running the code, we will pass arguments using command line and we will print that arguments. So this is the code what we are going to run now. So in the previous code, we have written Java say hello and hello world was printed. Now I will use Java say hello or the name of this program passing arguments and then my name. So I will print my name also using the command line argument that I'm sending it through. So I'm just sending the argument. Now we will declare this is the method name. So inside this, what I will do, simply I will use system.out.println. I will write hello and I'll give space. And I will not write ln here because I don't want it to go to next line. Here I will write args of 0 because in Java or in C or C++ also, the first index of array starts with 0 only. So whatever arguments I'm passing in command line will be stored in args array. And if I'm passing only one argument, or if I want to print only first argument, I will write args of 0. So this is just the simple program similar to what we have written previously of hello world. I'll just print hello and then whatever argument I'm passing from here. So now what I'll do, I'll just save it and I'll save it using the same name, same class name. When I save it, I'll save it here only in first notepad Java, passing argument.java. I'll change it to all files and I click on save. So here only what I'll do, I'll first compile the code, and to compile the code, it is Java C, the name of the file, which is passing arguments.java. And before that, let me show you this also. So there is one passing arguments.java here. When you run this code, when you compile this code, sorry, not run, when you compile this code, when you click enter, you will see that passing argument.class has been created here. Now, if you want to run this, just write Java passing arguments, and I will write my name because I want to print my name. When I click enter, now you see that hello Pratyush is printed here. Why? Because this is the argument that you're passing, which is getting collected by string args. And now, as you can see in the code, I'll mention the output here also. As you can see in the code, you are writing hello first. And you have not written print ln. That's why after hello, it is only giving space, which I have given in this double quotes. After space, my name is getting printed because args of 0 stands for my name. If I want to give something else, like Mumbai, for example, so hello Mumbai will be printed. So whatever command you give, that will be printed here. Whatever command line argument you give, that will be printed here because you are printing it using the array, the index of that array.